Welcome, everybody. It is now the 17th episode of the Unchained Vodcast. We have done over a dozen of these things, and we are now on the first episode of our second season. Some people think it's silly for us to have seasons, but I don't care what they think.
I like it.
We just wanted a little break and some time to plan for our next volley of episodes, and we think we've planned for maybe 10 to 13 episodes for this season, and hopefully that'll work out. We've got lots of things to discuss. Again, we have Brand and Kriss. How are you guys doing now that we've fixed our technical issues?
Pretty good, actually.
I'm alive.
Looking forward to the vacation.
Yes.
I swear you're always on vacation.
I'm not.
The envy. I burn with envy. You have so much vacation time.
It's a
Yeah.
requirement. They get like 40 days of the year.
I know. Sucks for me.
I actually, the funny thing is, I actually have more vacation in the UK than I had in France.
So there you go. Enjoy it.
And
Just a few days.
And
more,
people
still.
say we get good work benefits and everything, and I just look over there and I'm like, you have like twice the vacation I do. This is bullcrap.
Probably more than that.
Yeah, probably.
I have 28 days of vacation per year.
I have none.
I have.
Not counting the 2 days off a week. So
I think
if I
I
take a
have.
week, I only take 5
maybe
days.
thir-
vacation.
I have maybe like probably 13, 14 days of vacation a year, with holidays as well. Then holidays,
Yeah.
but I don't get very many of those either.
I don't get any.
So I got at least that going for me. So that's good. That's like another.
Half week.
I was gonna say about 8 days a year. For most people,
Yeah.
for some people, it's probably more. But my school does not do holidays that much. All right, so today, everybody, welcome to the 13 people that are in here, and the more that will hopefully join us in a minute. Today, we're going to talk about healers, and we've already kind of talked about healers on and off a little bit, of course. We talked about healers during the healer review. Not review, but reveal. That's the word I want. Reveal.
It's still a
What we're going to talk about today is why healers are going to be or need to be overpowered. In the healer reveal, they kind of said healers are going to be really powerful. They're going to like really super strong. They're going to be, especially if you leave them alone, you don't mess with them the whole time. They're going to be really powerful. And most people, I think, were pretty okay with that. And especially healers were like, yeah. But some people seemed a little annoyed, to say the least.
Yeah.
So, what I want to say is, I guess what I want to start off with is, why do you guys, what do y'all think are people's concerns about having healers be really powerful?
Well, I think it's
Too hard to kill
all
people, basically.
Yeah, basically, it stems back to all the other MMOs where I think they might be looking at the duo combination healer tank or healer DPS roaming around PvP just becoming completely unkillable.
Yeah.
I think that's primarily it.
That's probably the main concern of most people who think that too powerful, because they didn't give any specifics.
Yeah.
So it leaves also a lot of room for interpretation and paranoia, and you know how gamers are.
But they did say that healers will still be kind of squishy. I mean, they're still a caster,
Yeah.
so they didn't say like they're going to be like awesome at everything and you can't kill them. That's not what they said. They just said they're going to be really powerful, so their heals are going to be off the hook. That's what I took it as anyway.
If you leave them alone.
Especially if you leave them alone, yes.
And
I do think some people do see that and they think, oh, that means that class is automatically going to be better than every other class. Not necessarily at everything, but they're better, and I don't want somebody else's class to be better than mine, because then I feel like I have to play the best class, and I don't want to play a healer. And
I want to be the OP class.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody earlier about healers, and one thing he mentioned, which I think goes right into this though, and right into the meat of this, why do healers need to be powerful, was talking about Daok, talking about Dark Age of Camelot, and how being a healer kind of sucked because everyone guns from you from the get-go. Every melee person goes for your head and tries to take it off, and you just get...
That's the main PvP tactic.
Yeah, you just get interrupted constantly, so you can't heal anybody, and then you just get killed and you die before you can really do anything. And I think that's really the essence of the whole thing is, why do healers need to be powerful? Because otherwise they just get trashed and they're useless anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, that just shows how integral and core they are naturally to the group system environment, that they need that extra push.
Yeah. So, we're not fearing your stone healers with your silly rocks. Oh, look, he throws a rock. And this one looks like a snail. It's cute. But let's...
Awesome.
And all those hearts for chaos, it's probably the shape of your stones that you're going to throw.
Throw them like frisbees. But seriously though, if we can, let's start the conversation, because I don't want to just dive into it and go, healers are awesome because they need to be, and we're done. That would be silly. So to frame, I think there's a couple different areas we have to discuss. And for the first one, let's talk about pacing of battle and the role that powerful healers will have in determining the pace of the battle for Camelot Unchained.
Sure.
Well, the main thing right now, from what we know about the battles, is we know that death is going to be a huge penalty, be it in time to go back to the battle or waiting for a res or whatever they're going to frame it as. But it's going to be punishing to die.
Yeah.
So the healers, the more powerful and the more healers you have, the easier it is for whichever side manage to keep their healers alive. So they're going to shape not only the pace of the battle, but the shape itself of the battle, where fights are going to emerge. Because the huge fights are going to be probably either heading towards the healers or around the healers. So wherever healers are or support classes are, there's going to be fights there. So they're shaping both the pace of the battle and the battlefield.
Yeah, and I think if you look at the system that they've been trying to talk about, they're not looking at some sort of quick-paced PvP system where you can get 3-shot.
Yeah.
And even though at its core the system is doing a lot to prevent that kind of playstyle, they do want a little bit longer matches. The healer furthers that by sustaining fights.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main issues there is you look at healers in most games. They don't really live that long. It's kind of hard to stay alive for a long time as a healer, unless you've really got people defending you or a healer of your own. And
backup healers.
Yeah, I mean, you look at their Overwatch matches; it's kind of tough. But you've got the healer has to stay alive themselves, and so they need people to protect them, because as you said, the battleground, the escape of it, and the layout is going to kind of be centered on the healers, because people want to kill the healers. They need to kill the healers. They have to, or they're going to lose. And that's kind of the important thing, is they're making healers that powerful so that people have to go after them, which I'll get more into in a minute. But the death penalty is where the thing is. They want to I think they want to have stronger death penalties than you have in most MMOs. That's not necessarily saying permadeath or anything like that. But even if people don't have to walk back to the battlefield every single time, eventually you're going to have to walk back, and that sucks. And the way to counter that is to keep people playing, to keep people in the field, fighting back and forth. Yeah. Not necessarily not accomplishing anything, just not accomplishing kills really fast. And I think that's honestly why they've been flirting with the wound system. Because if they have just health, they go, okay, everyone's got 2,000 health, then we could just all target one person and go, okay, that guy's got 2,000 health, I do 500 a shot, you do 500 a shot, you do 500 a shot, we all shoot him 2 or 3 times, he's down, so we all just go, Pah! pa-da, and he's down, and then we turn to the next person. We can focus him down. But with the wounds, we can do that. We can be like, okay, he's got 1,000 health per wound. We hit him, one wound goes down, we start hitting him again, the healer heals the wound, and then we're basically reset, and we're like, crap, now we gotta start over again.
It's kind of like a response timer for healers to at least have an initial reaction to try to address.
Yeah, and we've talked about how difficult healing is going to be because of that. I mean, they're going to have to worry about wounds, they're going to have to worry about healing totals, and they're going to have to worry about like blood loss for themselves and for other people. So there's not, there are multiple ways to kill people. But having that longer pace of battle means like you can watch your health go down, and then you're like, oh, I got 1 wound, I got 2 wounds, I need help, and you can like run off the battlefield to get healing, or the healer can come to you and save you at the last minute before you're about to get that 3rd wound and die, and then you're like, yes, I don't have to walk back 10 minutes to the battlefield now.
That's why the healers are going to be so important, and they have to be significantly powerful because of that, because they are going to be the make or break of a battle,
and they always have been. Just when you have healers in your group, you almost don't even notice it, but when you're in a group with no healers, you're just like, oh, okay, no wonder we're losing.
And also healers have, I think, in my opinion, that healers have not felt very powerful before, because most games had to balance them also for PvE, or a too powerful healer makes raids and big targets too easy.
It's true.
If you don't have to worry about that, you can make healers pretty powerful without breaking the balance of the rest of the classes, because whatever you do, healers will stay squishy, so they can full heal you in 1 spell. If they go down in 3 hits, they're dead.
Yeah.
Dead healer don't heal.
Just PvE, many MMOs have different forms of group sizes, different plays for PvP. WoW, arenas, a lot of their stuff is tailored to.
Yeah, I guess the way I look at it with the heals is by making the healers more powerful. What they can do is, first of all, you do need to stop the healers. You need to kill them so that they can't do all this awesome healing. But outside of that, one, we always know healers are going to be outnumbered, obviously. There's so many classes. There's tons of damage-dealing classes. And people have complained before that there's lots of ranged damage-dealing classes. So they're like, how are melee people going to do anything? And I'm like, well, healers are really powerful. You protect the healers, and the healers are really powerful, so all these people are shooting you at range, and the healer can still be going and healed, and healed, and healed. But it's kind of it also becomes kind of a tactical thing, because the healer can only heal so many people of serious wounds, and if y'all keep doing serious wounds to multiple different people, okay, he can maybe keep that one fighter up indefinitely, but y'all have been laying wounds on a couple other people around him. Unless he diverts his attention and starts trying to deal with multiple people, they're going to start dropping, and then it's just that fighter and the healer against your entire army.
And we talked a lot about killing healers, but there's a huge thing in CU that is not in most other MMOs. It's disruption. You don't have to kill the healers. You just have to disrupt them. If you just go and interrupt a spell, you don't have to kill him. He's not doing damage. By the time he's able to cast the spell again, the one he was about to heal is dead. So you don't have to kill the healer. So it's okay if they're squishy, but not hugely squishy at the same time. They don't have 3 hit points.
Yeah.
But you can still disrupt them without having to kill them.
Now, in chat, Siskaru made a point of saying that he would prefer to see healers that have a higher utility for their survivability rather than having just extra hit points or better armor, etc. Which I can agree with to a certain degree, but we know that healers aren't going to be stunning people. We know that healers aren't going to be providing like the speed buffs and everything, because that's what the Bard does. So what types of utility do you think healers could possibly have that would make them a bit more survivable, maybe, but not really tread in the toes of other classes?
We know at least 2 of them are fairly mobile.
Yeah,
the physician and the Stone healer.
Stone healer. The other one doesn't seem as mobile, but mobility has always been a huge part of survivability in PvP.
Yeah,
it's true.
So that's the first step.
I definitely think that's a good point. I mean, being able to move around, not being rooted in place while healing, and they definitely seem like, at least for the stone healers, they're going to be throwing rocks to heal, so that doesn't seem like they're going to have to stand in one place and just be like, I'm throwing rocks at you, I'm throwing rocks at you, I'm throwing rocks at you.
At the same time, I'd rather the heals that they can throw while moving being less powerful than the heals they have to stand in one place to cast or to invoke, because at some point, I'm sorry, but the AoE heals for the stone healer, there are huge rocks. You're not carrying your backpack with your menhir or your huge stones in your backpack all the time, so you will have to summon them probably.
Yeah.
So you have to stand still for a while.
Yeah.
And that's those kind of heals that can be interrupted more easily.
Well, and I think that's the reasonable distinction there. Like, if the healers are more mobile, then if attackers come in to get them, they can run away and still be doing light heals, going, okay, a little bit of heal, a little bit of heal, a little bit of heal, a little bit of heal. But if they're being adequately protected by their allies, and thus, as the developer said, if you can't hit them, they're really powerful. If they're being adequately protected, then they can stand back there and do really big heals, and people are suddenly like, oh god, we've got to kill that healer. They're just, they're going crazy. Which, well, I don't want to skip ahead while we're talking about utility.
If the bards and their sister classes are the buff classes, I see healers inevitably as the debuff removers.
That's true. That's true.
The cleansers.
That's true, and that's usually a traditional kind of role for them. But I was thinking a little bit more in terms of how they can, I guess, utility for themselves to stay alive. I should have really opened and looked at their class pages, because it's been a while since I've actually looked at them. I don't remember if they have any utility abilities listed. I didn't think they did, really.
Not that they showed us, no. But that doesn't mean they won't have any.
I'm going to open it back up anyway. And they did mention that, like, these are not all the abilities for everybody, and they're definitely other abilities of different types that people have.
And being the powerful things they're intended to be, that would just be a risk versus reward thing. If you're increasing their capabilities in some areas, you obviously have to decrease it in others, and utility could just be one of those things where you just don't have too much of it.
I mean, they have to be vulnerable because, and this is one of the reasons I think that healers do need to be really powerful. If healers are really powerful, that makes them very important to the battlefield. If they're really powerful and really important to the battlefield, that makes the people who kill them really important to the battlefield.
Yes.
And thus, stealthers being the people primarily equipped to kill and disrupt them, that healers being really powerful just makes stealthers extremely important and characters that people are absolutely going to want to play.
Yeah.
I agree, yeah. It's giving stealthers and more single target classes more utilities than they would have in a more battle-oriented PvP situation.
Especially since healers ideally are going to have protection, and the stealthers are going to have a hard time getting at them anyway. So if they do get at them, they have to be able to kill them. And that's kind of the...
I'll just set a perimeter of traps with the healers in the center.
Healer stands here. We're just laying all the traps around you in a circle.
Do not move, otherwise you're dead.
It's the opposite of raiding. Do not leave this circle. No matter what.
Yeah.
Now, we also mentioned a little bit that I think a part of it could be... a part of the reason the healers could be really powerful is to encourage more people to play healers. Because we're talking about big, massive battles here. Again, having one healer in your group is great, but everybody kind of needs a healer in their group. And if you don't have enough healers to do that, then as I said earlier, it becomes kind of like a tactical thing where, okay, you can heal that guy, but they're hitting all of them, and eventually they're all going to drop.
And that's been a problem in 99% of MMOs. The lack of healers. Lack of tanks also a lot, but lack of healers really a lot, because not a lot of people want to play healers. Even if they're decent. If they're really powerful, it might draw more people to play them.
Yeah, I agree. And I think they'll get a little bit of support from the hybrid healers, the Devout.
Yes.
But we have to keep in mind, again, the Devout are hybrids. They have buffing, they have damage, so their heals not going to be so great. I doubt they'll even be able to heal wounds. I think that'll be where the limit is.
Yeah,
I think they'll be able to
probably.
heal HP, but no wounds, and that'll be, or maybe they'll have some very limited ability to heal wounds or something.
Maybe the first one, but past the first one, you won't be able to heal them.
Yeah, but I think they'll be able to fill in some, like Force Chaos just mentioned, like 1 healer per 8 people maybe, and I think that's about what you need. The Devout will be able to help mitigate that a bit. They get out there, they heal some of the side groups and stuff, and they may help heal the front line, so that the healer can focus on those wounds, focus on the big heals.
Yeah, and even if the empowerment of healers isn't an advertisement to bring in more, there's just so many numbers that they have to deal with two opposite factions. There's a lot going on. There's things that you're just not even able to keep track of in the sky that are falling and hitting you in the head while you're too busy healing your friends. And there's just
Mages.
so much, and they need that power.
Yeah.
Mages are shooting meteors at your face the whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta have something to deal with that a little bit.
Yeah, I think that power is going to be part of their survivability, even more than the utilities.
Yeah, I did think of one utility type ability I wouldn't necessarily mind seeing for healers, which would be some sort of like protective abilities, whereas instead of healing, some sort of like immobile sort of protection sort of things, like maybe if they had like a utility like wall spell that I could go, okay, mages, get the hell off me, I'm sick of fireballs hitting me in the face for a while. Kind of like the wind wall effects we've seen and stuff for mages, something like that healers could do to kind of mitigate some of that long range damage. To help them keep themselves from just taking tons of that damage. And that would also help to reinforce the importance of melee characters and stealthers if they had some ability to mitigate that range damage.
Yeah. I can see, I forget their names now, the Apocryphy one.
Apothecary?
Yeah.
Or the physician? The physician.
The physicians, thank you. It's been a while.
Small bombs.
Things like that kind of remind me of having the ability to protect yourself against certain elements.
Yeah.
Throw a potion down at the ground, you have some fire resistance or things like that.
Yeah, I was really just sitting here thinking of playing Reinhardt in Overwatch, and just everybody get behind my big blue rectangle. I'm tired of getting hit.
Yeah, but for the physician, for example, it could be just a smoke screen.
Yeah.
He's using potions. Throw potions in front of you. Smoke screen where you can still see through it, but the enemy can't.
Bram messing up my video here.
I'm sorry. That will never go away.
Now, another thing that I had thought of is healers need to be powerful because they do have hybrid classes in the game. Devout have already been announced as a hybrid healer class, and they obviously want the Devout to be useful, to be powerful in some way. If their heals completely suck, then there's no point in them having heals.
Yeah.
But if their heals are decent, then healer heals have to be that much better and more powerful. Otherwise, everyone can just roll Devout.
Yeah.
Yes
point.
and no, Force Chaos, because Force Chaos just asked, if I have a good group, I don't need to protect myself, right? I don't need a lot of survivability. You need it anyway, because even if you have a good group, at some point, unless you're completely avoiding siege battles,
glass cannon.
At some point, you're a glass cannon, but even worse than that, stray arrow, stray spell, whatever happens, can kill you, and that's bad. Even if you're not directly targeted, an AOE effect, whatever, can kill you. And healers, as we said, are going to be a key in a lot of battles. So if you don't have any survivability, it's way too detrimental, and it would probably drive people away from playing a healer.
Yeah, I mean, everything has to have some survivability, right? I mean, you can't go completely nil on survivability. But I think if healers are playing with good groups and they're running with people who are going to be defending them, that know what they're doing and how to keep the healer protected and guarded, then obviously the healer's not going to have to worry too much about, okay, how much HP do I have? Do I need to go heavy armor? Not gonna be as big of a thing. Now, if somebody's playing a healer and they want to be up near the front line, yeah, they're probably gonna be rocking heavy armor or something to boost that survivability. The ones that are staying way back in the back and just throwing their heals out, I don't think they're gonna need any kind of extra. I don't think they're gonna have to focus too much on survivability. It's just, if somebody gets to you, they're going to kill you, and that's unfortunate. If they break those defenses, it's kind of a matter, I guess, of what you want to rely on. If you're relying on your groups, and you always have those groups, that's great, but if somebody overcomes your group, you're dead. If you want to be more independent, then you're going to have to lose some of the healing to have armor or some type of survivability. I've already said before, I'm going archer, and I plan on going like almost pure glass cannon archer. I just want to be a sniper in the background shooting my little black arrows super far through the air, and just be super far from people with my arrows. And if they get into melee range with me, I'm just going to go, here's my heart. I'm dead. You got me. So that's a personal choice.
Yeah.
It sounds like all the power for healers is focused towards group play.
Oh yeah.
So if you're getting targeted,
they're healers. You're not supposed to play alone.
And that should hopefully, calm people down as far as thinking healers, if they go out as like a two-person group, they're going to be overpowered because you're giving us all this power. No. Their power is kind of being focused with group mechanics, so you're not going to be able to be unkillable if it's just you. You're not powering up. You don't have ultimate power. You have power towards helping others, not necessarily yourself.
Yeah.
The Siskru kind of mentioned like main healers having buffs with hybrids and stuff not really having the same full buffs. Honestly, I think they're going the opposite direction with that. I think for the classes that are healers, they're assuming people who are playing them want to heal. That's what they want to do. So they don't want to cast buffs on people. They want to heal. And now I'm sure they're going to have some buffs at least. But for the most part, they're going to be going heal. And they're going to be dumping out the most powerful heals in the game. The hybrid Devout class does have some buffs. They're more like damage buffs, though. They're more of like an offensive healer. So they're more like, oh, I'm buffing everybody's damage a little bit, and here's some heals, and now I'm gonna hit things. Now I'm gonna hit things with my club with you, and hopefully not die.
So I think that the biggest buffs are gonna be with the minstrel, those support classes.
Yeah.
But to make the hybrids useful, they're gonna have to be at least multitasking in 2 or 3 things. So they're gonna have to be at least decent in some damage and minor heal. I'd say minor heals, because just enough to keep people topped up, basically.
Yeah.
To get that focus off the healers.
Slow down the wounds.
Having semi-decent buffs will help them feel useful and be useful and be played, because if the hybrids only have minor heals and melee, nobody will want to play them.
Siskru, I don't know that I've seen a single interrupt on the minstrel class.
I haven't seen any.
I know that doesn't mean they're not going to add some, but I don't think they've mentioned anything about having interrupts on them per se. They're all buffs. I mean, it's just, and that's their thing, buffs is they buff everybody. Now, a lot of the classes do have some buffs. It's not just the minstrels, but that's their bag. Everyone kind of has their own bag. The healer heals, the minstrel buffs. The devout is a hybrid, so he kind of heals and buffs a little bit of both, but he mostly kind of runs around, I think has an offensive focus than anybody else.
What also Forced Chaos said, and which is true, and which is one reason why healers can be powerful in that game is he says, I'm tired of having to do DPS and heal. My focus is healing. That's what this game will be. In other MMOs, to be able to level up, simply level up, you have to kill things. So you have to do DPS. In CU, you don't have to do that. You just have to train your healing abilities. So you don't need to kill things and have to give up some of your healing power for DPS to level and evolve. You will do that by healing people, healing random, as he says, without a problem.
Yeah, and they've
want to do that. Roll it out.
And they've said that. I mean, that's what they've said.
Yeah.
They want healers to be able to heal. They don't want healers to have to do other stuff. If you want to heal and do damage, play a devout.
Yeah.
If you
Exactly.
just want to heal, you play a healer. And they're going to come out with more classes, of course, later on. After the game's out. But that's the thing. If you want to just do nothing but heal, you play a healer. If you want to do other things besides heal, that's what the devout's for.
Yeah,
They've pretty much, that's pretty much out of their mouths. I'm not really sure what Siskrew is getting at. You just mentioned a buff, empowering audience song abilities which affect enemy targets have their power increased based on the number of targets affected. Okay, yeah, that's a buff. It's
not an interrupt. Yeah, they might be able to use the loot for interrupts, but that's just
everything
a
can
side
do.
effect.
I want to point that out. Everybody can do interrupts. Everyone can with physical
I'm
attacks.
smacking you in the face with my bare hands. I'm interrupting you.
Yeah, I can. I can make any physical attack, and I can add interrupts to it. I was just saying that that they don't, as far as we know, they don't have any particular abilities that just straight up just do stuns or interrupts or anything.
Yeah, and there's a disruption stat that increases, which are not really tied to.
I don't know if it's gonna work like that, Siskrew.
Yeah, I will say you have to remember in Camelot Unchained there's two types of damage. Well, there's lots of types of damage, but there's two categories of damage. There's damage, which affects your hit points, and then there's disruption damage, which does the actual ability disruption. They're not, and they're not the same thing. So normal attacks, since you can customize your abilities to make them do whatever you want, really, if you make an ability that does a ton of damage, it's not going to do much disruption damage. Or alternatively, you could take the loot swing and make it do a bunch of disruption damage and not very much physical damage, and then it'll have a better chance of disrupting abilities people are using on you but it won't actually hurt their HP very much. Yeah. Or you can, of course, look for a balance there or whatever. Every ability that you make will have a certain amount of disruption health that it can take before it gets interrupted. And I think this is important to talk about for healers, period, as well. We're kind of getting into bards a little bit, but I really think this is important to talk about healers. And we were kind of when I was talking to somebody earlier, we were kind of getting into this conversation about healers and being interrupted, because in Daok they can really be interrupted a lot easier than I think is the intention for Camelot Unchained. They can certainly be interrupted, but a character almost needs to focus in doing that disruption damage. You need a stealther who's really got a couple of abilities that's gonna, this is gonna interrupt all your crap, and he's like stabbing you repeatedly with his interrupt ability to stop with his disruption damage, because each of your abilities basically has like a disruption health pool, and you have to get up enough disruption damage to stop it before it actually interrupts you. It's not like WoW where you're casting and then every time you get hit your bar jumps back down. God, that was so infuriating. I'm trying to get a spell off. Stop hitting me.
There were a few games that had that kind of things.
Yeah, and I will say some of the current gameplay might be like that too. You get bumped and someone looks at you nasty and you get interrupted. Someone sneezed at me. My spell's interrupted, but I'm assuming it's not going to be like that.
And
it's not the intention.
If you leave these guys alone, they're just going to make things hell for You have to disrupt them. You have to go after them.
I imagine their abilities probably will be a little bit easier to disrupt than some of the others, because they are casters, especially their powerful abilities. That's the thing, of course. There's the difference there between the quick one-offs and then the really powerful, like, chanting abilities and stuff.
I think the chaos of large-scale battle will actually make healing easier.
Yeah,
in the sense that
so too.
It's going to be harder to pinpoint where things are coming from, harder to find the healers.
With all the spells flying and everything. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and I have to agree with Fantanos. I think that it's probably one of the coolest ideas they've had was separating the damage from the disruption damage. So that abilities don't just inherently disrupt attacks and interrupt people. And of course, they're for the most part they've kind of tried to get away from stuns, from hard stuns.
Yeah.
So there aren't really like a lot of hard stuns or anything. There's just mostly soft CC, and the ability interrupts, which aren't necessarily easy to do. You have to have that disruption damage to do them. And I think that's important because you can disrupt people, which is something I love doing. If I wasn't going to make an archer, I would probably make a heavy fighter, and almost all my abilities would be disrupt abilities. And I would just stand in front of people with my shield and their face going, "Stop casting! Stop casting! Stop casting!" I love doing that. I love interrupting people all day long. I don't care if I never kill them. I just piss them off by interrupting their abilities all day.
That would piss me off a lot.
That's basically what I did in Star Wars: The Old Republic. I played a Darkness assassin, fully tank spec'd, and you couldn't kill anybody like that, but you could interrupt the crap out of them all day. So you just sitting there like knock down, interrupt, stun, knock down, interrupt, stun. You're never gonna die unless someone comes and helps me, but I'm having fun.
I think First Chaos asked, so I just heal my group? What about when it's 200 versus 200? I think that's also why they're trying to make the healer vision, so you can see the wounds and the damage on everybody. Your UI should be supporting that if they manage to put the healer vision in the game. So you will see who needs wounds heals, who has more wounds on themselves than others, and things like that. So that's probably why they want the healer visions. It's right now it's still in. It's
still working
in the
on
air.
it.
We don't know if it's going to be in or not, but they're going to try, and I think it's going to be a good thing because it's easy to watch health bar on your group window. It's a lot harder if you have to heal everybody in the battle, or at least a lot of people in the battle.
Yeah, and I think there'll be some sort of I think there'll be limits to healer vision as well. Which, to answer your question, healer vision is something they're working on, where it's going to be kind of like a different UI that healers have that they can activate that will, you know, denote different types of damage and stuff on their screen for their allies, so that you can more easily identify, oh, okay, that guy's got wounds, that guy's got so on and so forth. But I think there's probably going to be limits to it because we're going to be a big battle. So there's going to be 200 people in the field on your side. You can't see all those different things. So I'm thinking there'll probably be some sort of physical indicators for everybody. You know, like a little blood spurt or something to show that he's bleeding or something that you can maybe pick up on. And you probably see health bars or something for all the characters. But when you activate healer vision, that
would cluster the UI way too much.
Yeah, and I'm thinking when you activate healer vision, I wouldn't be surprised if it's only your group, like your team, like maybe your group or your raid. You can see their icons and stuff with healer vision, but you can't see all your allies because that would be just like information overload. You have tons of crap. Which again is why they need so many healers.
Right. and there's still speculation on a lot of the classes on how many people their abilities work on. Is it just groups? Is it outside the group? So we've yet to really kind of see all that. But as a base, it wouldn't surprise me at all. It's just groups.
And they've been quiet about the healer vision because they don't know how they're going to do it, or even if they're going to be able to do it.
They've been playing with it, but...
Yeah. And they've flat out said, we're going to do it. If you guys don't like us, we'll do something else.
Yeah. If it looks like crap, we'll can it and
Yeah.
go with traditional health bars or something. But
Yeah.
they're going to try and make something cooler with it, which I agree. I think that's a cool approach to do, is to try to make healer vision really helpful and streamlined. And if you can't do it, then it's wasted development time, but, you know.
It was worth a shot.
Yeah, it was worth a shot to do something cool.
Definitely.
All right, so we've really talked about all this stuff on healers and why they're going to be awesome and why they should be
What
powerful.
they should be.
And that's pretty much it for this evening. So I want to thank everybody for coming out, doing the show with us, asking us really good questions and having good comments and feedback. We will, of course, this is the beginning of Season 2, so we will have another episode in 2 weeks on Saturday. Kriss will not be with us because he's going to be on vacation like a loser.
I'll be in
I'll
France
have to take that day off.
next to the swimming pool.
So I may have other people. I don't know. We'll see if Brand can make it, and
Yeah.
I'll be here at least. But either
We're
way,
always here.
I
I will
will.
be back from vacation by then, so.
That's good. That's good. Which means your work will just keep you for the next 64
Yeah,
hours
seriously.
after that.
Like,
But anyway, so thank you everybody, and we will see you in
Yeah, thank
2
you,
weeks.
guys.